Hey guys, it's Bro You Whack, and if you guys haven't heard the news, the brand new hero Ekko went live across all platforms yesterday, whether it be on live PC or especially on console. So because of the big day, I decided all day yesterday I was going to be live streaming on Twitch just playing the brand new hero Ekko. And it seemed like you guys really enjoyed it because not only did you get to, well, celebrate the new hero release, but you also got exclusive Ekko drops. If you guys don't know, if you watch any Overwatch live stream on Twitch, you will be able to unlock these Ekko Sprays. It's just like a typical skin challenge, just this time around there is no skin to unlock, but there are sprays that you can only get by watching Overwatch Twitch streams. So once this video does go live, I will be live on Twitch where you will have an opportunity to be able to unlock the sprays for Ekko that are exclusive to Twitch. And the way that you do this is just by linking your Blizzard account with your Twitch account, and then they should appear in your account after a certain amount of hours. But if you're not interested in that, then that's totally fine, because I did want to provide you a video just giving you some tips and tricks for my time that I played with Ekko, not only on console but also on PTR, just to make your time with Ekko a little bit better so that you can possibly unlock her true potential and her massive amount of power that she has. Because it seems like a lot of people, especially on console, are struggling to not only learn Ekko and play her, but also struggling to unlock that power. Whereas if I just give you, maybe in your eyes, some basic tips or maybe even some unknown tips, it'll help you just get a little bit closer to realizing that Ekko is super good. Like, I'm playing this hero, I'm just like, how is this hero on live service and nobody's saying that she's broken? She's just so powerful. And the first trick that I want to show you, just to really help show you that Ekko can be super powerful, is this little animation trick that I haven't necessarily seen anywhere else. It might be common knowledge and I'm just now coming across it, but I figured if it can help one person out, then I've done my job. But you're gonna see on the left, Reinhardt is gonna die, and on the right, Reinhardt is gonna live. And they seem like almost identical clips, but they're not. So let me just play that clip again. Reinhardt dies on the left, Reinhardt lives on the right, and the difference between the two clips is on the left, I fed in an extra primary bullet before I shot my beam. Right after I fired my sticky bombs, I held the primary and my beam at the exact same time just to be able to get that extra DPS off. It's kind of similar to like the animation trick with Sigma, where after you use your primary from a fire, you fire rock so that you can animation cancel. But the reason why this is so crucial is because especially on tanks, that extra bullet to the head is gonna burn the armor off a lot faster, meaning that the beam is gonna get the maximum amount of DPS because it does double when Reinhardt's health is halfway. But the beam doesn't get over that hump if you don't feed in that extra bullet on the head to burn off that last bit of armor to be able to go into that 50% range. That's why it's very crucial to do this, especially on tanks with big loads of armor, because the armor is gonna block a lot of that DPS. Now, yes, there are going to be other factors like a Mercy heal or a Zenyatta orb, or maybe you don't hit all of your stickies, but if you're accurate, then in a 1v1 situation, you should be able to take out a Reinhardt in theory. But this trick isn't necessarily to show you her 1v1 potential against tanks, but really just to show you how important it is to get as much DPS as possible so that you can get Ekko's purple beam, which is the double DPS beam. If you're introducing a fight with the beam, you're doing it wrong, because armor has a lot more protection than just regular health, so that's why you want to try to combine this all into one single motion, or if possible, fire a few more primary forms of fire to burn off the rest of the armor so that you can get the maximum potential for the double beam. Now, this next tip is going to be for console players because so many people leave out console players, but if you're a PC player, then you can just skip ahead. But the problem with Ekko when it comes to the default settings on console is that it's not console friendly, because what you're going to do when it comes to Ekko is that you're going to want to fly and you're going to want to hover up. But how are you going to aim for the bots at the bottom if your right thumb is on the A button so that you are able to float? This is why it's a problem to have the default settings activated for Ekko. Now, something that you might say is, all you gotta do is just jump back and forth between the A button and the right thumbstick. It's not that hard, Bro You Whack. And yeah, that's not that hard. But two things you gotta realize. One, that wastes a lot of time because you're having to jump back and forth. It's very small time, but it's still time you're wasting. And the second thing is that it makes your aim very awkward because you're having to switch back and forth. And if you're in a firefight and you want to descend or you want to go up, up, well, now you're having to have one suffer, either your aim or your descending. And if you don't play claw, such as myself, then this is going to be a problem, because this is how I've always held a controller ever since GameCube. If you play claw, this is not a problem. If you have a scuff controller, then this isn't a problem. But I'm not made of money, and I have a bad habit. So this is how you fix that clunky, awkward aiming mechanic while flying with Ekko. You're going to go to options, you're going to go to controls, and then you're going to go to the Ekko tab here at the top. Now the first thing that you're going to change, this might seem weird, but you're going to change your jump button to the left trigger. The reason for that is because you always have a finger on the jump or the descend button, and you always have your right thumbstick on the aiming mechanic, but then that gets rid of your sticky bond button. That's why you're going to rebind your secondary fire to your right bumper, but then that gets rid of your beam ability. That's why you're going to change your beam ability from the right bumper to the left stick, because that way now you're going to have full control of being able to aim while also descending or ascending, and it's not that bad to be able to switch between the primary form of fire and your sticky bombs, because you can't do both of them at the same time. You do one or the other. So if you're going to be doing one ability, you're not wasting time switching back and forth between these two buttons, because you can't do them anyway. And then you just finish off a hero with the left thumbstick, and it's very important with the beam, because this is a very important timed ability where if an enemy is at 50 health, they could easily heal back up if you're not fast enough. So it's actually beneficial to be able to have the jump button on the left trigger and the beam on the left thumbstick. Now you might say, well, that's super awkward. And yeah, it is gonna be super awkward. It's gonna be very weird to get used to, but if you've been doing this for a while like me, it'll only take a couple of games. If this is your first time doing it, it's gonna take a couple of days to get used to the jump button being on the left trigger. All right, PC players, welcome back. Now this next tip for Ekko is in regards of her abilities. Now this might seem like a very simple, very kindergarten-like tip, like, oh my God, I already know this, bro, you whack, but I'm bringing it up not to necessarily tell you, but to remind you why you want to do this more often. But the tip here is that you're able to end your flight and your beam ability prematurely. You can start your flight and you can end it early so that you can start the cooldown. Same thing applies for the beam. This is especially important when it comes to the beam, because let's say you're in a 1v1 situation with a tank and you get them to about the 50% health mark like I showed with that Reinhardt, but then all of a sudden a Brigitte and a Moira actually do their job and heal that tank. Well, they heal them above that 50% mark, which means you're not going to kill them and you're just wasting your beam on someone who's not going to die. You really want to use that beam to finish someone off just like you would a Genji dash. So if you recognize that you're not going to kill the Reinhardt or kill anybody else that could possibly be at 50% health, then you can end the beam and start the cooldown earlier. That way the 1 to 2 seconds that you otherwise would have had towards your beam can go towards the cooldown to get another. And same thing could be said for the flight. If you're at the destination that you need to be at, like let's say you need to get on top of a ledge, you don't need to be flying for that whole 3 to 4 seconds. Now it is helpful to just be moving across the sky, but if you just need to be on top of something, don't be wasting that time flying, use it towards the cooldown time. Now this next tip is going to be involving her ultimate. Now there are 2 easy solutions that you might be aware of, but I did at least want to talk about them because 1, I didn't even know that these were in the settings to begin with Ekko, but 2, I did want to discuss what I like over the other and just to help you decide which solution you might like better. But the issue that I'm talking about is in regards of Ekko's ultimate, because so many times when I first started player, I found myself duplicating the wrong hero. I was trying to duplicate a Zarya or a Hammond, you know, big beefy targets, but so many times there was a different enemy, usually a very skinny enemy, getting in the way of me trying to duplicate like the Zarya or Hammond. And you might experience this where you want to try to duplicate a Reinhardt, but a Genji or a Lucio gets in your way, and the way that you solve this is one of 2 ways. The first of which might be obvious, is that you can turn on the confirmation to duplicate the enemy. The reason why I have this turned off is because that is just an extra step, more time wasted of me getting in the fight, possibly getting my ultimate. You know, while it's like half a second, not even that, like a millisecond, it's still time wasted. And what if I accidentally still duplicate the wrong hero just because I'm trying to get into the fight and I'm not paying attention to the little icon at the top? So it's kind of irrelevant and you just wasted more time. So the second option, which still has problems in itself, is the sensitivity slider. And the easy way to know how this works is that the higher the sensitivity, the bigger the hitbox is when it comes to duplicating the enemy. And the lower the sensitivity, the smaller the hitbox is. I would say go to the lowest setting possible, which is 10, but I'm a little weenie and I went to 20 because I'm still not like the most accurate when it comes to ultimate. I know that sounds stupid, but if you go all the way to 100, you have more of a mixed bag of who you're gonna duplicate, especially if they're running a much more clumped up composition. If they're more spread out, then 100 is more ideal, but come on now, the enemy team is always organized and your team is always disorganized. So go a little bit lower than what you're normally used to and just fiddle around a little bit. 20 is the one that I found myself most comfortable with. And those are some simple, specialized, maybe advanced tips that you didn't know. My fear with these tip videos is that I'm telling you something that you already know. But the idea with these videos is that I'm just trying to help one single person. And if I've done that, then this video is definitely worth its while. But hopefully you learned something if you did it. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make you a better player while also trying to learn myself. And these are just some of the things that I learned along the way that I didn't see really online that much. And if you saw them online, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to help you be a better Overwatch player. My tips aren't always the best. They're just my tips and my tricks. And hopefully you took one thing away from it. But either way, guys, I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Please let me know what you think about Ekko. And I'll see you guys later. I love you guys and bye.